Ron Washington at third base.
Eric Burns is a very aggressive base runner, but if you don't get a jump from second base, or if you have to freeze because of a line drive hit, you can't run through the stop sign at third base. I don't care how aggressive you are. If you don't get the jump from second base, especially with Torrey Hunter in center field, you can't score on that play.
And with nobody out. He's safe. I mean, he's clearly safe, but it's still a risk you probably shouldn't have taken.
Well, he's definitely safe, but you can see Culpa there. He's not in the position to make that call. He's behind the catcher instead of being beside him.
So first and second, one out, and here's Eric Chavez to look at a strike. Boy, what an eventful bottom half of the first inning. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he just runs right through the stop sign.
Doesn't even look at him.
Clearly safe, but called out, so we're still scoreless. Chavez hitting .253 with 8 homers. Was it you who told me the line? Somebody downstairs before the game was saying that Terry Francona, who's the bench coach for the Oakland A's, said that Eric Burns has always made some unbelievably exciting plays, except now he's making them to help the team. But there he might have cost the team, although again in his defense he'll tell you he was easily safe. 1-2.
Tom Prince did a great job of appearing to block the plate from home plate umpire Culpa's vantage point. He dropped down right on top of the plate, and what really fools a lot of umpires sometimes is when you make that tag and you bring it up immediately. You tag quick and you bring it right up, showing them that you feel like you got them, and sometimes you get the benefit of the call, as Tom Prince did right there.
1-2 the count on Chavez. Runners at first and second with 1 out. Kenny Rogers struggling here early. And Chavez goes out of the strike zone to protect and keep it at 1-2 as we go back to Gary Miller.
Dan, Ron Washington had sent Burns when he was coming towards third, and then the ball kind of got to Torrey Hunter, and obviously he has a great arm, and then he held up the stop sign, but Burns was already full throttle by then, and so when he held it up, he was past him.
Burns still trying to regain his breath back in the dugout after that play. Now Chavez, little looper into shallow center field, and charging is Hunter to make the catch for the second out. With that out, Chavez now drops to 4 for 44 against left-handed pitching on the season.
This Oakland A's offense has got to have some production out of Tejada and Chavez if they're going to be successful offensively. Both of those guys there are a lot of things expected out of them. They've got to swing the bat. Durazo, even though he's in a little bit of a slump right now, has swung the bat well since he's been over here. But Chavez and Tejada have got to pick it up a little bit if this club is going to score some runs.
You can see how much better the A's have done offensively here at home than they've done on the road. They beat Minnesota last night 4-1. Tim Hudson picked up the win. Keith Folk the save. And Eric Burns was in the middle of all 3 of the rallies for the A's. They scored in 3 different innings, and he was right in the middle of all of them. Had 3 hits in the game. Here is Durazo, another left-handed batter. And a guy who, in spite of the fact, as Jeff mentioned, has not swung the bat as well recently, is still just on the outside of the top 10 in the American League in RBIs. He was in there last night. He's got 31 RBIs on the season. Atterberg at second, Tejada at first. And a 1-1 count on Durazo, picked up in the offseason in a 4-team trade. And one of the reasons the A's love him, he draws walks. And I think as we've all become familiar with in the last couple of years, the A's offensively, like on-base percentage and power, they feel those are the 2 most important things.
One thing about Durazo is when he's going well, he's hitting the ball to left center field, and when he's doing that, he's very difficult to strike out. And a lot of times, if you've got a runner at third base or you've got a runner in scoring position, as long as you can put the ball in play, you've got an opportunity for an RBI.
Three and one, and then again Rogers, you can tell he'll just freeze in the follow through for a second when he thinks it was a strike, but he didn't get the call from the umpire. Right now he should be pretty grateful to the home plate umpire, because it could have been worse. It'd be a lot worse if he called Burns safe. He's trying to break through here in the bottom of the first inning. There's a strike at the knees. Now Durazo's not happy, and it's a full count, so the runners will be on the move.
This is the pitch that Kenny Rogers has got to have. Ball down on the knees. Right on the outside part of the plate, even though it's a left-hander standing up there. That's the pitch that Kenny Rogers needs. That's why you see him keep freezing on pitches that he knows that are probably borderline pitches, because he's trying to get an idea about what kind of zone Culpa's going to have this afternoon.
Rogers 4-1 on the season in 8 starts. The opposition hitting almost 300 against him, so he's done a good job scattering those base hits, as they say. 3-2 breaking ball, and it's ripped into right field, a base hit. Hatteberg, with the benefit of a jump, is going to score easily as the throw comes into second base, and now the A's have a 1-0 lead.
Durazo staying back on that pitch right there, just takes it into right field. Breaking ball, 3-2 breaking ball. Kenny Rogers, normally a left-hander, will roll over that pitch trying to guard against getting jammed with a fastball. This ball he just hits right into right field. Breaking ball had to be a strike for Rogers. Durazo stays close, stays with it, keeps his weight back, ends up using his hands, getting the ball into right field.
So Rogers has given up 3 hits and a walk already in the first inning. Durazo with RBI number 32. And here comes a dangerous hitter in Oakland catcher Ramon Hernandez. Hitting .307 on the season, but he lifts a fly ball into right field for Dustin Mohr, and that will be all for the A's. A run on 3 hits for Oakland could have been more had this call gone the other way. Questionable use of some very good food, don't you think?
I'm not a big Twinkie guy.
You're not a big Twinkie guy? There's Matthew LeCroy. The public doesn't need to know what you ate for breakfast this morning. Matthew LeCroy, playing first base today for the Twins, had his nose broken on a pitch from Runelvis Hernandez of Kansas City a week ago. This went off the end of the bat into left center field. Burns is back all the way to the edge of the track to run it down and to make the catch. LeCroy denied by Zito. LeCroy homered last year in his first ever career at bat against Barry Zito, and then he doubled in his next at bat, so he was expecting a little bit of payback here today. Now Torrey Hunter credited with the outfield assist on that play at the plate. Hunter hitting just .217, 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. You look at both of these teams, they both got pretty good records. I think they're both about where they'd want to be at this point of the season, but you look at Hunter's batting average for Minnesota, you look at Tejada's batting average for Oakland, and you think, you know, these guys are going to get better. They're going to do better. And maybe there's still some upside for both of these teams.
It amazes me that the Twins have played as well as they have without Torrey Hunter's offensive production. Yes, he is a great center fielder, as good as there is in the game, but he's a big key for them in the middle of this order. You could almost see that the A's could still do well without Tejada's production, simply because they've got such a strong pitching staff. But on the other hand, from the Twins side, without Torrey Hunter's production, how long can this club continue to win?
Chased a high fastball, and Zito has his 5th consecutive out to start the game, his first strikeout of the afternoon.
And as you can see with Torrey Hunter, as with most guys, when they get in a funk, very difficult to hit a pitch up. You start chasing balls out of the strike zone, pressing a little bit. Hunter will get it together. It's just a matter of getting comfortable and getting things comfortable in his mind as well as his body.
Bobby Kelty, the DH, is the batter. Switch hitter, hitting .291 overall, but almost 100 points better than that from this side of the plate. And here's a guy who's really taken advantage of the opportunity to play. When healthy, he can get out there in right field. And Ron Gardenhire had Michael Kadire. He's got Dustin Mohr out there. Kelty can play out there, and Kelty's made the most of his opportunities. Ripped foul, 2-1.
You watch this guy take batting practice from both sides. His swings are almost identical, and part of the reason is he's a hands guy. He's not about how he stands at the plate or a lot of different things that guys do with their body. He's just looking for the baseball. If it's close to the plate, he's going to hit it. He's got tremendous hands.
3-1. Tougher to get a book on a guy like that who's just
very difficult. He's tough to read because he doesn't give you a whole lot of body movement. He's just got great hands.
Just outside, ball 4, and there's the first base runner of the afternoon for the Twins. A little bit of a rivalry, of course, developing between these two teams on the heels of the division series a year ago that Minnesota won in 5 games. Third year in a row that the A's made the playoffs, but they were knocked out in the 5th and deciding game of the divisional series, and Ron Gardenhire's team had to come all the way back here to Oakland to win Game 5. Barry Zito was the starter in Game 3, and he won that game. Dustin Mohr, the batter, and he takes a pitch outside, ball 1.
Do you think folks were stunned more that the A's lost or that the Twins won? Pretty amazing.
Runner at first, 2 down, and it's in there for a strike, 1-1. And some of the A's said that at the beginning of the series maybe they underestimated the Twins a little bit. And what a Game 5 it was, as the Twins took a 2-1 lead in the 9th, then got 3 in the top of the 9th, only to give up 3 in the bottom of the 9th and hang on for a 5-4 win. Breaking ball is not quite there early yet for Barry Zito. It's not as sharp as it normally is, and he hasn't been able to throw it for strikes to this point. Zito's going to tell us about that curveball a little bit later on the inside pitch, considered to be, if not the best, among the best breaking balls in all of baseball. This base hit between third and short into left field for Dustin Mohr, and a little 2-out rally brewing here for the Twins. Now we go back to October and talk about Game 5 of the divisional playoffs. A.J. Pierzynski facing Billy Koch, and what seemed like the nail in the coffin, insurance, whatever you want to call it. That made it 5-1 for the Twins in the top of the 9th inning, but then Oakland got 3 off Eddie Guardado in the bottom of the 9th. But the Twins hung on, won 5-4, knocked out the heavily favored A's, and advanced to the ALCS, where they would lose to the eventual World Series champion Anaheim Angels.
I think Hernandez is going out to tell Zito right now, you're getting a little bit jumpy coming to the plate. I think that's why his changeup's up in the zone. That's why we saw a couple of breaking balls earlier that hung up in the zone. Anytime a pitcher starts to move his body to home plate before he actually gets his weight back, you got to go back first before you can actually come to the plate. Your heart gets to beating a little bit, and you start coming to the plate too soon. Your arm can't catch up, and your ball starts to hang a little bit.
Want to know the count on Tom Prince. So no Pierzynski today. Another right-handed bat in there for the Twins against the lefty Zito. Prince, the number 2 catchers, who fouls one back below us. A ball and a strike. You can hang around in the big leagues if you can call a game and work with the pitchers, and you can hang around as a number 2 catcher for a long time.
Well, Prince has done it as well as anybody. He's a great catch and throw guy. I think he's gotten better offensively as he's gotten older and learned a little bit more about himself, but he's a guy that you don't even have to shake him off. He knows you as well as you know yourself, and makes it a real easy day when you've got a guy like him behind the plate.
Zito just threw his best curveball to this point of the afternoon to get out in front of 1-2.
Zito, you can tell when he keeps his weight back, that breaking ball is absolutely filthy. It's just, that's not fair.
And a fastball looked like a cross up there between Zito and Hernandez. And look at the look, even through the sunglasses, you could see the way Hernandez is looking at Zito. That wasn't the pitch that Hernandez was expecting.
No, I don't think that's the pitch that either Zito got it wrong or Hernandez got it wrong, but one of them got it wrong. When you see a catcher dive out of the way before the swing ever comes, that's not good.
No.
A lot of times when you have a runner at second base, you're using second sign. Somewhere along the line, somebody didn't quite pick it up.
It's got to be a terrible feeling for a catcher.
Looking curveball, getting the heater. Now that'd be a little different if it was Kenny Rogers and he was throwing it up there 81 miles an hour.
So Hernandez and Zito and Tejada have met on the infield to try to sort out the confusion. Kelty at second, Mohr at first. 2 down in the inning and a 1-2 count on Tom Prince. There's the curveball and a ground ball down to first. Backhanded by Hatterberg. Zito covering, races on, and he got him just in time to get Prince and end the inning. 1-0 A's going to the bottom of the second. Bottom of the second here in Oakland. Looks like the A's are going to draw a significantly bigger crowd than they did last night when the Twins came in for the first game of the series, rematch of the playoffs a year ago, and they only got 13,000 here last night. But a day game today's brought out a lot of kids. And it'll be a day game again tomorrow as they wrap up this series. Mark Ellis, the batter, leading off the inning for the A's. Second baseman's hitting .262. He's dropped down in the lineup. Eric Burns has assumed the leadoff spot recently as Ellis drives one into the gap in right center field, and Torii Hunter is there again. Just when you think you've seen him do it all, he does something you've never seen before. What a great diving grab into the gap in right center field.
As that ball went through the air, in my mind, I'm thinking this is double all the way, possibly triple. He comes out of nowhere to catch this ball. It's a great play.
You know, and he sacrifices his body on grass, on turf, on warning track, into fences, over fences, doesn't matter. So what's that going to cost Kenny? What's he going to get Torii Hunter for that? A little dinner?
It's got to be dinner, at least.
Terrence Long, the batter, and he takes it inside, ball one. Now, Andrew Jones, for years, has been considered, without a doubt, the best defensive center fielder in baseball. Does Torii Hunter, is he his equal now? Is Torii Hunter that good?
Tell you what, some of the plays that he makes are just absolutely unbelievable. Going back on the ball, I think he's just as good as Andrew Jones. Coming in on the ball may be a different story. Andrew's as good as I've ever seen coming in on the ball, but that play right there, look how, I mean, he caught that ball almost behind where the right fielder played right now.
Well, he may have had an even better catch than that already this season. Last Saturday at the Metrodome against Carlos Lee and the White Sox. How did he get up so high? And he seemed to hang there forever until the ball came down.
Takes that right hand and puts it on the top of the fence, gives himself a little boost to hold him up there. You love those kind of plays when you're standing on the mat. You don't like giving up those hits, but this guy's taking them away. Most every other center fielder, that's a no doubt double from Ellis.
Some guys, as great as they are in the outfield, as fast as they are in the outfield, some guys just don't dive. Right. Some guys just don't want to, don't believe in it, can't bring themselves to do it. But Torii Hunter will go get it.
He amazes me, the way that he sacrifices his body, not only diving for the baseball, but running into fences.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen him run into the baggie at the Metrodome, and he does the same thing on the other fields when he's on the road? No fear.
Remember the catch he made against Barry Bonds in the All-Star game last year. Roller out to second. Denny Hawkins getting some playing time today. Will make the play for the second out. No, we're not quite done with Torii Hunter yet. The catch today, the catch last week against the White Sox, and the catch last season. You talk about him running into fences. I mean, no fear at all as he gets close to the wall.
Part of that is knowing where he's at and expecting to hit the wall. You can't hold on to the baseball if you don't expect to hit the wall. So I think he knows that he's going to hit the wall. He just doesn't care.
Adam Pyatt, the left fielder today. He'll look at a strike. Well, it's one thing when you looked at the Minnesota Twins, they weren't hitting it all in April, but they're the defending Central Division champs. They have an outstanding pitching staff, especially the bullpen. And they got great defense, so they've got two of the key ingredients for postseason success. Pyatt retired on the fly ball. Torii Hunter makes the play of the day out in center field.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by Cheese. Satisfy your craves with cheese and crackers. Find more on the Go Cheese snacks on ilovecheese.com and Charter Communications.
Back here in Oakland, the ESPN Day Game. It's the Twins and the A's. 1-0 Oakland behind Barry Zito. Going to the top of the third, Denny Hawkins, the second baseman for the Twins today. A swing and a miss. He has been for many, many years a utility man for Minnesota and has played literally 7 positions, just about everything except pitcher and catcher. And one of my favorite Denny Hawkins stories, I remember years ago when the Twins were one of the worst teams in baseball. I got to town to do a game there, and there was a midseason poll in the Minneapolis newspaper. Who's the best this, who's the best that, amongst the Minnesota Twins. And Hawkins, who wasn't even a regular, he was a utility guy, was voted in the newspaper as their best defensive infielder and their best defensive outfielder. And he wasn't really either, because he was playing everywhere. He was playing every day, but all over the place. But he has done a very good job in a very tough role for a number of years for the Minnesota Twins. Hustling out of the box on the fly ball to left field. This is one of those days somebody might lose one in the sun today, so you better hustle out of the box. He's already at second base, but Hyatt makes the catch for the first out of the inning. A high sky, as they say, right? Never really knew what that meant, but
no clouds, and it looks like the sky just continues on and on and on.
Back to the top of the order for the Twins. Jock Jones retired on a ground ball today. Eric Chavez is ready to flip those shades down at a moment's notice.
I've got to believe that Jock Jones is going to get a steady diet of breaking balls, especially after that first AB. When you can make a hitter look that bad on the breaking balls, you're going to keep throwing them until he shows you he can hit them.
Fly ball to shallow center field. Burns is there. Jones is gone. 2 down. Barry Zito looks like he brought some pretty good stuff to the ballpark today. Not that that's a big surprise. This is a guy just 25 years of age. He's already won a Cy Young Award. He won 23 games last year.
All of these guys, not just Zito, but Mulder, Hudson, now Ted Lilly, John Halama. I think all of these guys have got a great grasp of what it takes to pitch in the big leagues. And I think part of that is Rick Peterson, their pitching coach. He has instilled in them, don't just get out there and see how hard you can throw it. Work both sides of the plate, change speeds, add and subtract, throw your breaking ball for a strike. And they practice that day in and day out. Not only the middle side of the game, but the physical side of the game as well.
And we'll get into this more as the game progresses, but the raw stuff of the 3 guys, do all 3 of them have outstanding raw stuff?
I don't think so. I think there are other staffs in the big leagues that have better arms, younger arms. I just don't think they pitch as well.
Short hop there by Mark Ellis. Guzman retired, and the inning is over. When we come back, Barry Zito on the inside pitch. He'll tell us how he throws that curveball right after this.
Barry, you are throwing a traditional 12-6 curveball. Can you tell me a little bit about how you hold it and how you release it and what makes it so good?
Yeah, I hold it. Most guys will hold it, throwing it off their second finger here because they get more torque off the dominant finger. But, I think the middle finger is dominant for power. The first finger is dominant more for control, I think. So, I split the seams here, leave my thumb under on this seam, and I think that gives me the ability to throw for strikes more consistently.
Tell me the difference in release points or aiming points when you're facing a left-handed batter versus a right-handed batter, and you have to throw a breaking ball for a strike.
Yeah, I just look right at the glove. I wouldn't even say that I focus in on a certain spot. I think that motion is so locked in from over the years throwing it. I think with the left-hander, I like to start it at their shoulder sometimes. But even then, I get the tendency, like you said, to pull off and really start at their shoulder and try to make it break so much, and it doesn't work. But when I do stay in there and I just kind of see the spot and just let it go, it happens.
Great. Thank you, Barry. The curveball is what makes Barry Zito a Cy Young Award winner.
Nice job, JB. We appreciate the insight into Barry Zito's curveball. He's talking about it there in the dugout between innings. It's hard at the end when he says, "I just let it go and it happens." I mean, we should all be so lucky,
Well, I think part of what he was saying is the way that he holds the baseball, and that's a very unconventional grip. How he uses that, only using his index finger on the seam, and his middle finger is actually off of the seam. Most guys don't hold it that way. They hold it with their middle finger on the seam, and that's what gives you that spin when the ball comes out of your hand.
Eric Burns, the batter. 1-0 A's in the bottom of the 3rd. And a ground ball up the middle and into center field, a base hit, and Burns is on base for the 2nd time in this game. Now, from what I understand, changeups, if you've got 100 guys, they're going to throw the changeup 100 different ways. But the curveball is a fairly conventional grip, right?
Well, you would think so, but he surprised me when we were talking about how he holds it. When he just puts just this finger on the ball, everybody else holds it this way, puts this middle finger on the ball and uses this to create that torque. And then he talks about keeping his wrist straight versus turning your wrist. And what that does is it keeps your forearm strong and allows you to snap it down. A lot of guys get the ball inside their hand, and it reduces their hand speed, and the ball doesn't spin as fast. Therefore, it doesn't break as well.
Now, the things like the grip and the way that Zito throws it, are these just things he stumbled into as a kid, or are these refinements that Rick Peterson has made to the way he throws this pitch?
I think it's a combination of both. I think this is a pitch that he has thrown since he was a child. I think that's why it is so good. But also Rick Peterson being able to find out what he does best, and he continues to help him to do it consistently on a regular basis.
Runner at first, nobody out, and an 0-2 count on Scott Hatteberg. Nice stop there, down and away by Tom Prince.
The thing that he does so well with it, though, Dan, talking about Zito's curveball, is the fact that he throws that pitch for a strike. And if you're a big league hitter and you know that the guy standing on the mound can throw that big bender for a strike, you've got to swing. And that's what makes it so good, the fact that he can throw it over the plate.
Swing and a miss, and Hatteberg is gone for the first out of the inning. Well, it's not like Barry Zito just learned this curveball a couple of years ago. Here he is playing Little League as, I don't know, what, about a 10-year-old? A little high heat there maybe, but watch, here comes the hook. That's pretty good stuff, don't you think?
That's real good stuff. It's still good today.
I love the wind-up there on him as a kid. He's refined that a little bit. All right, well, now let me ask you this. He's got maybe the best curveball in baseball. David Wells has an outstanding curveball. Matthew LeCroy told me before the game the best curveball he'd seen before Zito's was Rick Ankiel.
Right.
Sandy Koufax, a guy who's historically known for unbelievable curveball. What is it about lefties and curveballs, or am I just happen to be naming lefties?
I think part of it is the fact that you don't see that many of them. That's what makes it so good. If you see a lot of guys throwing the ball 100 miles an hour, sooner or later you're going to get used to it. When you see a guy come off the mound throwing a breaking ball that starts right at your head and ends up at your toes, most guys can't throw that pitch, so you're not used to it, and it buckles you. The thing about it is, as a hitter, when a pitcher throws a pitch that buckles you, it's embarrassing, and the last thing that you want to do on the field is get embarrassed.
Burns at first, pretty good speed. One out of the inning, and a 2-0 to Tejada. Lined into right field. That'll get down for a base hit. Burns is on his way to third. Tejada is going to stop at first, and this time Burns will stop at third. So it's runners on the corners for the A's with a 1 out. Pretty good sign here for Tejada. 2 hits, 1 up the middle and 1 the other way. Well, he doesn't do anything half speed, does he?
Picking them up and putting them down.
Ken Mock is going to have an interesting dilemma in a week or so when Jermaine Dye, maybe not that soon, is ready to come back. Dye's recovering from some arthroscopic knee surgery. They're going to send him out on rehab soon, and he's going to play the outfield. Maka said before the game today he doesn't want Dye back as a DH. He wants him back when he's ready to play in the outfield. But when Dye is ready to play, who's going to sit? Burns is a guy who's hitting well over 300 and really making things happen. You've got Chris Singleton, who's not in the lineup today because of a lefty, but he's been hitting very well lately. Terrence Long has not been hitting particularly well. So how are the 4 guys going to split up the 3 spots in the outfield?
Somebody's going to be asking to get traded. Could be a Jose Guillen.
Yeah, reminiscent of Cincinnati when Griffey came back. Nice problem to have if you're Oakland. And Singleton on the left, and he's hitting well over 300 right now. Terrence Long is down under 250. Ken Maka said, don't jump to the conclusion that Long will be the guy to sit out, and he may have some kind of a rotation where the 4 guys each rest every now and again. And he said maybe even the DH spot or first base might get involved in an even bigger rotation.
That's the one luxury you have in the American League. You can get guys some ABs in the DH spot, but with Durazo and Hatteberg swinging the bats the way that they are, especially with this club struggling for offense, it's going to be very difficult to take them out of any lineup.
1-2 the count on Chavez, and he takes it up and away. The A's, although a lot of their identity is associated with on-base percentage and power, as we talked about before, they're not really an offensive juggernaut. They were 8th in the American League in runs scored last year, and they're 8th in the American League in runs scored this year. They won over 100 games last year, really, with an average offense. Chavez is jammed, and he loops it into center field, a base hit. Burns in to score, sliding safely into second, Tejada. Chavez with an RBI single, and it is 2-0 Oakland.
Well, you hate that as a pitcher. You make a pitch that's quality. You get in on the batter and jam him, and he's still strong enough to fist the ball out into center field for a base hit.
RBI number 17 for Chavez, coming back from a bruised hand about a week and a half ago. He was hit by a Jorge Posada rocket. 2-0 Oakland. Here on the ESPN Day Game. Dan Schulman, Jeff Brantley, Gary Miller with you here at Network Associates Coliseum as Burns made it all the way home for the second time, but this time was called safe. So he's had an eventful afternoon already as Rubio Durazo, who's got an RBI single today, takes ball one inside. The dominant aspect of this team, again, is not the offense. It is without question those three starters. And even beyond that, the entire rotation is doing well. But it's Mulder, and it's Hudson, and it's Zito, who at a remarkably young age, a couple of years ago, became the best trio of starters in baseball. And they haven't done anything in the last couple of years to make you change your mind about that. They're all in the top 5 in ERA in the American League right now. All three of them. 2-0 to Durazo.
In my mind, there should be no difference for any other club that has a group of 22, 23-year-old pitchers that come to the big leagues that have great arms. There should be no difference in their success ratio for what the A's have done than for any other ball club. The difference is the fact that the other ball clubs are not teaching them how to pitch. That's why they don't win.
Well, for so many years, people have been waiting for the next Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz to come along, back when Smoltz was still the starter. But the Mets had that trio of young pitchers. Well, it's got to be over 10 years ago now, I would think. Of Isringhausen, Pulsifer, and Wilson. They were supposed to be the next big thing. And it was injury after injury for those guys.
That happens all the time. You get young guys coming to the big leagues. They're thrust in a situation because of time-wise they're not allowed to develop in the minor leagues, and all of a sudden you've got to learn how to pitch in the big leagues. Well, once you get to this level, you're not gonna throw change-ups, breaking balls for strikes. You're gonna revert back to what you do best, and that's rearing back and throwing fastballs as hard as you can. And sooner or later, in some point in time, that's what's going to get you hurt. And we see that time and time again in the game.
Brad didn't like the last call against Durazo. It's 2-2, a run in for the A's here in the third. Tejada at second, Chavez at first. Already 6 hits for the Oakland A's off Kenny Rogers. Strike 3 call, and that time Durazo knew it. Second out of the inning. More great baseball coming your way tonight on ESPN2. A great doubleheader, the Yankees and the Red Sox in the first game at Fenway Park. Roger Clemens on the mound for New York, looking for career win number 299. And the broadcasting legend Kurt Gowdy will be in the booth to call a few innings as part of ESPN's Living Legends series. The second game, the Giants and the Diamondbacks at 10 Eastern. Roger Clemens 5-2 on the season, going for number 299. Ground ball down to third off the bat of Hernandez. And the A's are gone, but they get another run as Chavez drives in Burns. 2-0 Oakland. Here in the ballpark today, enjoying a 2-0 Oakland lead as the A's and Twins move to the top of the fourth. Barry Zito very sharp early, now with a 2-run lead as Corey Koski comes up for the second time today. It'll be Koski, LeCroy, and Hunter, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Twins, who got off to a slow start this season. Didn't hit the ball at all in April and fell several games below 500 and as many as 8 games back of the Kansas City Royals. But they made up that deficit in 3 weeks. They played very well, and just as importantly, the Kansas City Royals really hit a snag. And now the Twins are where I think most people would expect them to be, and that's in top spot in this division. The White Sox are not playing very well, and all kinds of talk the last couple of weeks about what's going to go on there. There's a called strike, 3-1 on Koski. 15-5 in their last 20 games, the Twins are, even though they lost here last night. And the batting average has gone up better than 60 points. And look at the difference really in all aspects of the game. They have put it all together here in the last few weeks.
You pitch well, you catch the ball, you win ball games.
Now, if they could just figure out a way to get the Yankees off their schedule. They were throttled 7 times by the Yankees. They're done with them for the season. That's the good news. Hosky slices one into left field, and there to make the play is Adam Pyatt, 1 down.
It's a great comeback by Zito there. 3-0, continues to make pitches, and you didn't see him just throw 3 pitches right down the middle. One on the outside corner, one on the inside corner for strike 2. Then he gets a ball that's inside on Hosky, and he has the inside out. It can't get an aggressive swing on it. Gets him out.
And that's the first out here in the 4th inning as the first baseman, Matthew LeCroy, gets his second look of the afternoon at Zito. LeCroy's a guy, if they can find a place for him to play. He came up as a catcher, not doing much catching anymore, a little bit at first base, a lot of DHing. If he gets the at-bats, I mean, he's going to hit his home runs. It's just a question of whether or not they can find him enough at-bats.
He's a big, strong guy. You've got to pitch him inside to keep him from leaning out over the plate. He can take a pitch that's on the outside corner and hook it over the fence in left field. That's how strong this guy is.
Chases the outside fastball, and it's 1-2.
First pitch that Zito threw him was a fastball off the plate inside, comes back with a breaking ball that just range right in there. After seeing that breaking ball at 71 miles an hour, your fastball looks like it's 1,000. But you see Zito, this is the second time in this AB that he's gone in, and the reason that he's doing that is to try to keep LeCroy from reaching out over the plate and hooking his fastball. And it worked on the 0-1 pitch because he pulled off just a little bit.
Going away again. Curveball, and it's bounced foul. So you believe as good as the curveball and the changeup are, that the game plan, executing the plan, is as much a part of Barry Zito's success as his raw stuff?
I think it definitely is. And you see when he gets to that set point, he keeps himself over the rubber. That front shoulder is over the rubber the whole time, and it allows him to use both sides of the plate and keep his body under control.
LeCroy hooks a base hit into left field, and that'll bring up Torrey Hunter, who's already had a very interesting day out in center field. First credited with an assist for getting Eric Burns at the plate, although replays clearly showed he was safe. And then another unbelievable catch out in the outfield by Torrey Hunter. And you were pointing out in between innings, you can still see the mark out on the warning track in the outfield where Torrey Hunter went to get that ball, and it's way closer to right field than it is to center field.
It just shows you the speed and the jump that he got on that baseball, and he continues to get it time and time again. Jumps are so critical for, especially for a center fielder. Getting that extra split second and getting to that baseball is what makes a great center fielder great.
He went headlong into the alley in right center field and made an unbelievable catch. You know, some people have a problem that when the Gold Glove Awards are given out for the outfield, they don't pick a left, a center, and a right. They pick the 3 best outfielders, and a lot of times it'll be 3 center fielders, and a lot of times it should be 3 center fielders. I mean, if they did left, center, and right, let's say Torrey Hunter wins a Gold Glove, then, you know, Darren Erstad can't win one, and Mike Cameron can't win one, and Vernon Wells can't win one. And how do you think they should do it?
I think they're doing it exactly how they should do it. You're playing center field for a reason. It's because you're good. There are a lot of guys out there that they play left field or they play right field. They may get a few balls, but they don't get near the challenge that you do in center field. Now, that doesn't mean that a left fielder or a right fielder shouldn't win the Gold Glove Award if they're great at their position, but there's a reason that guys are playing center field, and that's because they're good.
Hunter with a fly ball to left field, going back, and it is gone. Torrey Hunter doing a little bit of everything for the Twins here this afternoon as he ties up the game with a 2-run homer. Number 7 on the season. It's a 2-2 game.
Zito leaves this pitch on the inside part of the plate. I don't know that this is exactly where he was trying to get this pitch, but right now, any ball that's close to Torrey Hunter, he's hitting. When a guy's struggling, you got to be able to take advantage of it on the outside part of the plate. This ball is supposed to be away, and he leaves it right down the heart of the plate. Change up, leaves it right on the plate. That was hit.
RBIs number 29 and 30 for Hunter. So he's got a throw, he's got a catch, and he's got a hit that have all had a major impact in this game already. It's only the 4th inning. The 0-1 to Bobby Kelty right on the inside corner. No balls and 2 strikes.
Barry Zito using the inside part of the plate well today, and you don't see him knocking guys down or throwing the ball to the backstop, but yet he's using both sides of the plate, and that's why he's successful. Pitching inside is not about hitting guys or trying to throw the ball to the backstop or trying to be an intimidator. It's just keeping the guys honest so they can't lean out over the plate, and this guy does it very well.
Did not go. 2-2. Zito in his career 53-20. The best winning percentage in the history of the game, in the modern era at least, since 1900, for anybody with at least 50 decisions. And Tim Hudson's third on this all-time list. They keep outdoing each other.
Pretty nice to have two guys with a over 700 winning percentage.
Well, and the other guy
Mohr
might be pitching the best of anybody right now. I mean, it's a friendly competition, but it is a competition. But there is no other team in baseball that can send three guys out like this, and that's why it amazes you really that they have not been able to advance beyond the first round of the playoffs in the last 3 years. Now, twice they played the Yankees. In all three series, they extended it to a fifth and final game. But I think ultimately this era, whenever it comes to an end for the A's, is going to be defined to a certain extent by how much playoff success they have, and they've got to do it.
And I think you're correct. The Braves have suffered the same type of criticism with only one World Series win, but playoffs are much different. You catch a team at the wrong time, they can beat a great ball club like the Athletics are. But the thing that amazes me about this ball club is they have young pitchers. They've taught them how to play the game, and if you're going to succeed in this game with a minimum payroll, you've got to be able to have young pitching that you develop, you teach how to pitch, and when they come to the big leagues, you teach them how to be successful. And if you're going to do that without going out and having to buy pitching, you've got to do it not only through your farm system, but you've got to do it at the big league level. You've got to teach these guys every single day mechanics, repetition, and learning how to pitch and using all your pitches.
Down and in, ball 4 to Kelty. Well, there are more good arms on the way in this Oakland system. Aaron Harang and Rich Hardin, a couple of guys that you were talking about before the game when we were visiting down in the field. But you were talking to me on the way over to the ballpark today, not only about how good these pitchers are and how well they've done, as Rick Peterson goes to the mound, gives us a chance to talk about him a little bit, but that they haven't gotten hurt. Kerry Wood got hurt. A.J. Burnett got hurt. Those young Met pitchers got hurt. Is there something fundamentally different in Rick Peterson's program or the Oakland A's program that keeps these guys healthy?
I think what it is that they have learned the art of pitching. This is not about seeing how hard you can throw it and lighting up the gun when you get out there. When you're pitching, you're keeping your body under control. The reason that you get hurt is when your body gets out of control more than one time. And if you're trying to throw the ball with maximum effort every single time that you take the mound, you're going to get hurt. And it's very difficult to learn how to pitch when you're a max effort guy every single time when you take the mound. And I think that's the difference in the Oakland A's staff and many other staffs that are out there. You see great arms all the time and you wonder, well, where did this guy go? Well, if your body's flying one way and your arm's going the other, you're not going to hang around too long.
Dustin Mohr, the batter, but a ground ball out to short. There's one. There's two. Inning over. But the Twins tie it up as Torrey Hunter takes Barry Zito deep here in the top of the fourth, where the A's and Twins are all tied up at 2 now, thanks to that Torrey Hunter home run. Day games in the Bay Area seem to bring out more interesting people.
That's a good way of saying it.
Than just about any other ballpark, just about any other area. There's Mark Ellis, the Oakland second baseman. He looks at a strike from Kenny Rogers, who has to feel pretty good about things now, back to square one in spite of the damage that the A's have done against him. 6 hits through 3 innings. They've stranded 4 already and had one guy incorrectly called out at the plate. Otherwise, it could be a little bit different. Also on a Zito day, when Zito pitches, because he's a unique personality, a bit of a different, quirky kind of guy in a very positive way, he attracts a certain type of fan, wouldn't you say? How am I doing?
You're doing great. Keep going.
I think I should quit.
Certain type of fan.
Ball and 2 strikes on Mark Ellis. And where was that?
That's what Kenny Rogers is saying.
Ellis gave, the body language. Ellis backed away from it like it was going to be well inside. Sure didn't look much inside. But then again, the catcher Prince is setting up inside, so he makes it look better than it really was. And wouldn't you know, on the next pitch, Ellis comes back and he lines one into left field. Let's go back to Gary Miller. Gary?
Dan, Terrence Long has played 443 consecutive games now. Only Miguel Tejada has played more than that consecutively in the majors. He moved over from center back to his natural position of right when they signed Chris Singleton. But Jermaine Dye is going down to AAA next week to get in some rehab assignments in Sacramento. And that consecutive game streak could be in trouble.
You know, and it's one of those things, it doesn't seem like it's all that important, but talk to a player who has a consecutive game streak of 300 games or 400 games, and it matters to them. They want to be in there, even if you get in late as a pinch hitter or something like that. Dye's going to be back, and Gary makes an excellent point. That consecutive game streak for Long would figure to be in jeopardy.
I've got to believe that Maka, on the other hand, is concerned more about wins and losses than he is about personal records and goals. I mean, that's part of the game, and yes, you want your guys to strive to be the best that they can be, but when you've got 4 outfielders that are getting it done and or 3 that are getting it done and 1 that's not, the one that's not is going to sit. Period.
1-1 to Long. Loops it the other way. Jones charging over toward the line. It'll drop just foul.
I talked to Terrence before the game, Dan and Jeff, and he's aware of it. He became aware of it when people started asking him about it. He says, of course, it's nothing like Ripken, but he's got some pride in it now. And there's been a couple of games this year that he hasn't started, but he usually gets in there as a defensive replacement or a pinch hitter. So Ken Maka's aware of it, too.
You know, one of them was an interesting game. I can't remember the exact situation, but it was back in April. He did come in as a defensive replacement for somebody else. But sometimes Long, who's not a great outfielder, comes out of the game for a defensive replacement. So it was obvious, really, that Ken Maka put him in there as a defensive replacement to help him keep that streak alive. And you're right, the longer it goes, the more awkward it becomes, and the more of a distraction it can become as well.
It becomes an albatross hanging around your neck. Sometimes you're better off just getting it out of the way, shut it down.
Yeah. Well, Ken Maka will be faced with that decision potentially within the next couple of weeks. Ellis, the leadoff base hit, the 7th hit of the game for the Oakland A's off Kenny Rogers. All of them singles. I guess this is kind of a typical Rogers start. He'll give up his base hits. He will bend, but he will not break. Little looper into left center. Going to be another base hit. Ellis, the big turn. And now he will go back. Throw a little bit offline. A good play there by Ellis to at least force a throw. You never know when the ball might get away.
Kenny Rogers has given up some hits today, but a lot of them have been where the guys have thrown their bats out there, hit it off the end of the bat, hit it off their handle, jam shot here or there. You can give up singles, like you were saying. You can bend, but don't break. I know what he's saying right there. And it's not, you got to be kidding me now.
It's a variation of that. First and second, nobody out. As Adam Pyatt comes up. 0 for 1 today, 0 for his last 20. But this is a guy who's had a lot of success in the minor leagues. Big, strong, right-handed batter with some power.
The problem for Adam is getting consistent ABs up here. We talked about 4 outfielders, and he's an outfielder that's not getting some playing time, and to hit off the bench, especially for a young player, that's one of the toughest jobs in the game, if not the toughest.
Rogers will step off. Let's go back down to Gary again.
Dan, I talked to Adam about that. When I was talking to Long about his consecutive game streak, Pyatt came up and joked, you know, I've got it in my contract. I don't complete games. I don't play a whole game. In fact, I'll play Wednesday afternoon games, but I only play Thursday night games. So he let it be known that it's his decision that he gets such little playing time.
Ah. Well, they've also got Ron Gant here. I mean, they got a ton of outfielders right now. So Pyatt's going to get a check on the play here with first and second, nobody out. The Twins are at least aware of the possibility of a bunt, and Pyatt wants to make sure he doesn't mess up the signs.
If you're 15 for 20, you get to swing away in this situation. If you're 0 for 20, you look down the third baseline, and instead of thinking RBI, you think, oh, are you giving me the bunt sign? Come on.
It'll be tough for a guy like Pyatt. I would imagine his whole life with the kind of numbers he's put up and in the minors, this is a guy who's generally hit in the middle of the order and is told to swing for the fences, and he's done that well. But today Here he is as the number 9 hitter for the Oakland A's in a potential bunting situation. He might not have done a whole lot of this in his career. Not going to do it here either, but that ball is just foul down the third baseline. That was big trouble if it's a foot to the right.
That's always a tough situation for young players. They come to the big leagues. You don't get an opportunity to play every day after playing every day in the minor leagues, and all of a sudden you're up here and having to make an adjustment. Hitting in the bullpen, it's kind of like kissing your sister. It just doesn't work. Hitting in the batting cage, throwing in the bullpen, you can't get regular work like that, and you can't keep your game sharp. You'd like to believe that you can, but it just doesn't get it.
1-1 the count on Pyatt. Koski, the third baseman, is backed up a step or so. Swinging away again. It's 1-2. This Oakland system, though, has produced so many good players, and you talked about how they don't have the resources that many other teams do, and the same can be said for the Twins. Really, these are the 2 franchises that all of the other low revenue franchises are really modeling themselves after, and they have both produced great talent from their farm system in recent years.
When you get pitchers that come to the big leagues like Kyle Lohse, Johan Santana, Mulder, Zito, Hudson, all of these guys, you've got to take those arms and make them work, because that allows you to spend your money in other areas if you've got quality pitching in the big leagues. But you got to teach them somewhere along the line.
Curveball down and in, 2-2.
It's kind of one of those situations. You can pay me now, or...
Well, and you're going to pay a whole lot later. That's right.
And not everybody can go out and put together the pitching staff of the New York Yankees. That's not a developed staff. That's bought. And I don't know of any other club that can actually do that.
The 2-2. And a ground ball to short. There's the flip for 1, and on to first. A double play turned by the Twins. Ellis comes down to third on the play, but Rogers got exactly what he needed from Adam Pyatt.
Rogers saw the swing the first time up. Pyatt drove the ball into deep right field, even though he flew out. But this time Rogers works him away. Then when he needs an action pitch, he comes in on him, jams him, gets the ground ball. They get this thing turned over. If you're playing behind Kenny Rogers, you've got to have some good defense up the middle. He's going to get a lot of ground balls, even though he may give up some of those chink hits. As long as you can get a ground ball, you get that twin killing.
Let's see if he can get Eric Burns. Burns walked in the first inning, singled and scored in the third. His average up to .343, and it's higher than that since he became a starter after Jermaine Dye went out with the injury.
I want to see him hit a gapper so we can watch him run.
He just seems to be one of these guys that every game that he plays in, he'll do something that you'll be talking about the next morning at work, and whether it's running through the stop sign and getting thrown out at home, as he's already done here today. They're trying to get him as a right-in all-star candidate. Not here in Oakland. I think the biggest laugh that I heard down in the dugout was when I asked Kinemaka what his natural outfield position was. I mean, everybody just broke up. And I guess he was that bad of an outfielder in the minors that he didn't do anything naturally. But through hard work and getting out here early every single day, taking fly balls, he has become a much better player.
I think in his younger days, he actually was an infielder, had an opportunity to play outfield in college. The school needed an outfielder, asked him to play. I'll do it. He raises his hand. Well, guess what? Now he's stuck out there. The one thing about Eric Burns is you're always going to get every ounce of effort that he has, and that's why it's fun watching him play.
Yep. A 2-2 tie here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Ellis at third, 2 down. Ball's going to bounce away. Ellis coming home, and he will score without a throw. And the A's take the lead back again.
I can tell you right now, Tom Prince is not happy about that pitch. He tries to glove it instead of blocking it. He'll be the first one to tell you, should have kept that in front of me. That very rarely, if ever, happens to Tom Prince. As you can see this pitch, it takes a dive into the dirt. Instead of blocking it, Princey tries to glove it. Doesn't keep it in front of him.
Scored a wild pitch against Kenny Rogers as the go-ahead run comes in to score. Another base hit for Burns. I don't know how you get this guy out of the lineup if he keeps swinging the bat like this, even when Jermaine Dye does come back.
Well, it makes for a pleasant situation for the manager when you've got outfielders that play, especially with the energy that this kid has, and he's producing. You produce, you know what? They'll find a place for you.
And an instant fan favorite here in Oakland. Scott Hatteberg looks at a strike. He is singled and struck out today. Hatteberg, not really your prototypical first baseman, does not hit with a ton of power, but a guy who has good on base percentage. One of the things that the A's liked about him, they looked at his years in Boston, and he never really got a chance to play every day. Came up as a catcher and only moved to first base a few years ago. But he has made the most of this opportunity out here in Oakland, and he feels like he's been reborn, getting a chance to play for a team this good and getting a chance to play as often as he does.
Every player wants playing time, and the reason that they do is not simply for the fact of going out there and playing the game, but they know that if you're in the lineup every single day, you can make adjustments to your swing, you can keep yourself on the same page, and you can get consistent production.
A pop-up into shallow left field. Guzman out. Jones in. Jones makes the catch as they avoid the collision. The A's get a run on a wild pitch and lead again. Clinward has to be a little bit deflating for these Minnesota Twins. They just tied it up in the top of the 4th inning, and a Torrey Hunter home run, and then a Kenny Rogers wild pitch on a ball that you say, and as you say, Tom Prince would say he should have had. That wild pitch leads to the go-ahead run, and Barry Zito's got the lead again as he falls behind Prince. 2 balls and no strikes.
Not too often are you going to see a ball get by Tom Prince, regardless of how good or bad the pitch is.
There's a strike, 2-1. Now this game has gone along very smoothly. Absolutely no problems between the two teams. There were a couple of incidents in last night's game. 2 hit batters, and each time the bench is cleared, although there was no fighting or anything like that. In there with an off-speed pitch, and it's 2-2. Ramon Hernandez was hit up near the shoulder by Rick Reed, and then after warnings were given an inning later, Tim Hudson hit Bobby Kelty in the rear end. Although Hudson was not kicked out of the game. It's a bit of a misconception. Even after warnings are given, the umpire does not automatically have to throw out the pitcher and manager. It's still up to his discretion. And both managers agreed that they felt neither pitcher intentionally hit the other batter. And the reason there was a little bit of hard feelings between these two teams coming in stems back to the playoffs last year when A.J. Pierzynski hit that big home run, and A.J. likes to make his feelings known out on the field. He's a talkative guy, and sometimes he rubs people the wrong way. Ooh. Shattered bat on that foul ball. And there were some words exchanged after the playoffs last year. The A's calling Pierzynski this and that, and Pierzynski calling them some things back and forth, and there were a lot of things written in the newspaper leading into this series the last couple of days. There's Hernandez getting hit by Rick Reed, who's got great control, maybe the best in all of baseball, and Hernandez and Reed had some words. And then the next half inning, Hudson hit Kelty, but clearly didn't mean to. The situation didn't dictate that he'd be going after a guy, but Kelty took offense to it. But Ron Gardenhire smiling over at Ken Maka. They've known each other a long time. Pop up back into left field, and Tejada is there. And Ken Maka told us today he and Gardenhire had a long talk. It's over. There's nothing to it. And he doesn't really want to talk about it anymore. He wants to talk about baseball. He doesn't want to talk about a supposed feud. Denny Hocking, the batter. One thing he did say that was interesting, and you were there. He said, you know, in the old days, a batter would get hit and he would drop his bat and he would go down to first base. But now hitters seem to take offense whenever they are hit, always assuming that it's intentional. True?
I think that you're correct. I think that every hitter, unless it's just a spinning breaking ball that you get hit, and even some guys then think, oh, you're trying to hit me.
You ever get charged on the mound?
I did.
Who?
In Double-A.
Never once in the majors? Nobody charged you at all in the majors?
I think they knew I'd hit him again.
Who was it who charged you in Double-A? Anybody we'd know?
Sean Abney. Remember Sean Abney, first round?
San Diego outfielder, right?
Right.
Fly ball into right field. Long is back, and Hocking is retired, 2 down. The NBA playoffs are on ABC tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, and not only that, it is the 2003 draft lottery. Who will get LeBron, among others, other great players, of course, but the LeBron James lottery, as some are referring to it, tomorrow night before the Pistons and the Nets. The Nets are going home, already leading the Eastern Conference Final, 2-0 thanks to the great work of Jason Kidd and others. Dustin's really having trouble scoring. Here's Jock Jones, and a curveball in for a strike. Right now, the Cavs and the Nuggets have an equal opportunity of getting that first overall pick. And of course, Cleveland would love to get LeBron because he's from just down the road in Akron. An 0-2 count on Jones, who's 0 for 2 today against Zito. And a ground ball right to Chavez at third, inning over. 3 up and 3 down to go the Twins against Zito in the 5th. With kids here this afternoon. Another afternoon game tomorrow between the A's and Twins. Glad you're along with us on the ESPN Day Game here today. Miguel Tejada and the A's leading the Twins 3-2. Tejada already with a couple of base hits today. Grounded back to the mound. Rogers steps off the mound to make the throw on to first. This guy's one of the best fielding pitchers in baseball. He's won a couple of Gold Gloves, and he made that play effortlessly. With Jeff Brantley and Gary Miller, I'm Dan Shulman, and we welcome you to Oakland for a contest between a couple of teams who met in the playoffs last year. Nobody would be surprised to see both of these teams in the playoffs again this year. The Twins on top of their division by a half game over Kansas City, and the A's 27-17. Usually they get off to a very slow start, Jeff, but they're off to a good start this year. Their biggest problem right now is the Seattle Mariners are playing even better. Mariners are playing some great baseball.
And I really believe that the Mariners are a totally different ball club when they have Edgar Martinez in that lineup. Not only from the pitching standpoint, but mainly from an offensive standpoint. That ball club, is time and time again, has shown when he's not in the middle of the lineup, they don't play well.
The Mariners right now with the best record in the American League and second in baseball to only the Atlanta Braves. And the Angels have now moved over 500. These teams, all these Western teams, are now in a long stretch where they don't play one another. They played one another exclusively for 3 weeks. Now they're going about 7 weeks without playing each other. Interesting play out there for Hawking, but he makes the play to retire Chavez. 2 down. What about the Angels' ability to make a run in the American League West?
I'd hate to say that you can count them out after what they did last year, especially as bad as they started. But everybody knows what the Angels can do now. Winning this thing again is going to be doubly tough for them because everybody expects them to play well when they come in town. So they're not going to surprise anybody this year. Nobody's going to take them lightly.
2 outs, nobody on for Arubio Durazo. The Sunday night game, by the way, these Minnesota Twins will be featured in the Sunday night baseball game on ESPN, and they will be up in Seattle taking on the Mariners. Well, when you come west, and they've always talked about how difficult it is to come west, but now that these teams are the best in baseball, a West Coast trip can be deadly. Durazo grounds out, and that is all for the A's. Only 7 pitches as they go in order in the bottom of the 5th.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by 1-800-COLLECT. Save a buck or two. Olive Garden, where great Italian food tells you when you're here, you're family. And buying a used car? Get a Carfax Vehicle History Report. Ask your dealer or go to Carfax.com.
As you can see, this is just one of a number of things here to do in the Bay Area on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Cristiano Guzman leading off the 6th inning for the Twins, and it bounces one down to third. Barry Zito very efficiently getting his outs here today. It's 1 down as we try to find somewhere in this vast ballpark Gary Miller. Where are you, Gary?
Way up here on Mount Davis, where it's nice and windy on this very hot day. Pretty good view down here, Dan. And I talked to a lot of the players today. Obviously, when they put these in for the football game, it changed the dynamics here. A much better hitter's park now. And during the day, they say the ball carries a lot better than it does at night. I'm going to carry myself up the stairs here and see how high we can go.
Corey Koski looks at a strike. We'll track Gary's progress.
Where's Waldo?
Last week he was getting a haircut when we were in St. Louis. He's got about 30 rows to climb to get up to the top of Mount Davis. Well, there are times the A's, as everybody knows, don't draw tremendously well, and those seats way up there are rarely filled. There are some Wednesdays where they have dollar tickets and all of a sudden they'll get a ton of people, and in the playoffs at times they'll sell out, at times they won't. Koski with a drive to center field. Burns going back. Over his head and off the wall. Koski into second base, and he will stop there. Boy, for a moment you could see that Burns was trying to decide, do I go after it or do I play it off the wall? How much of a play do I have on this ball, and how far away am I from the center field fence?
This is part of playing center field. You've got to know where the warning track is before you get there, and you see him break down a little bit right before the ball actually comes into the view of the screen. If you know where the wall is, just like Torrey Hunter does, you're going to make that play. If you don't, you're going to break your stride, and when you break stride, you're going to miss that ball.
A double for Koski, the tying run at second base. Matthew LeCroy, the batter, and a swing and a miss. Well, and Burns has the reputation, right, of being a guy who's going to run to the wall and through the wall on plays like that. LeCroy 3 for 6 in his career against Zito. Doubled and homered against him in a game last year. 1 for 2 here today. Let's go back to Gary, see where he is now. Gary?
Dan, one of the problems out here is not only the air a little bit lighter as you go higher up, but I couldn't see. I heard you describing it. I thought, well, that's going to be gone. I heard Burns going back, but I couldn't see where it landed. So at least it stayed in the park for the A's sake.
Obstructed view up on the top of Mount Davis. Can't see center field.
Sounded a little winded.
Yeah, I think that was an excuse. I think the reason he stopped is because
was that a shave?
Yeah. Come on. That's enough. He's going back down. He's the oxygen. Now we've shamed him into going to the top. 1-1 the count on Matthew LeCroy. And he takes it high, ball 2.
I hope that's a pretty sturdy fence up there.
Man, oh man. Look at the wind blowing up there, huh?
That's right. Instant air conditioning.
Boy, he is just a rumor to us here on the other side of the field. He's a long way up there. Runner is going. High throw, and in there safely is Corey Koski. The element of surprise in effect for the Twins.
When you're standing at second base, you can see the signs from the catcher, and that way, if you guess right and you know that a breaking ball is coming, especially a large breaking ball like Zito throws, you can get a great jump. And you see Koski right there. Very rarely are you going to run, especially with a fastball right there. But if you know it's a big breaking ball and you've got an extra second there, you can take off and make that easily.
Number 4 on the season for Koski. And he's at third now with 1 out. Breaking ball misses high. LeCroy draws the walk. First and third with only 1 out for the Twins here in the 6th inning. Just a couple of years ago, Koski had 27 stolen bases. And now Torrey Hunter, who has made the throw of the game, the catch of the game, and also has hit a home run.
Zito struck him out the first time up, left a changeup over the plate in his second AB, and he put it into the seats in left field.
Huge gap in right center field as Hunter takes inside, ball 1. Burns over toward left center away, and then long in straightaway right field. That's a big time gap for Torrey Hunter. Pop back out of play. A couple of innings ago, home run number 7 on the season for Torrey Hunter. As you said, a changeup that was meant to be down and away, but wound up down and in.
Torrey likes the ball out over the plate, but if you get the ball away from him enough and run it away, he'll run out of bounds and swing and miss it. But this guy, you have to pitch him in to get him out.
Good location there by Zito as he jams him and gets a pop up in foul territory to Chavez for a very big second out of the inning. The reason Koski stole third was to try to come home on a fly ball, but Hunter couldn't deliver. And now it'll be up to Bobby Kelty, who has walked twice. And Hunter very frustrated to let an RBI opportunity slip away as pitching coach Rick Peterson comes out for the second time today. Activity in the bullpen. Left-hander Ricardo Rincon and a right-hander Chad Bradford. This Oakland bullpen a little bit underrated. The bullpen has one of the better pen ERAs in baseball as well. There may not be a ton of big names down there, but they support the starters rather nicely.
Well, Bradford is a guy that can throw absolutely every day, and he gives you an unconventional look. When he comes from down under, the ball, he doesn't throw the ball that hard, but when the ball actually gets to the plate, it just drops. The ball drops straight down. And a lot of times for hitters, they see the ball being a strike, and by the time they swing, it's dropped out of the zone. He gets a lot of ground balls. really had a tremendous year for this ball club last year.
How's it looking from up there, Gary?
You know, I can see Alcatraz from up here, but I needed you to tell me that was Rick Peterson coming to the mound.
Not many peanut vendors up there today, huh?
No, I'm all alone in the end zone.
First and third, 2 down, and here's Kelty. Out in front of the changeup, 0-1. Is the changeup as good a pitch for Zito as the curveball is? Ken Maka described the change and the curve as being equally important to Zito.
You would think that out of Zito you would see a lot of fastball curveball, but as when we were talking to Maka before the ball game, he said in one ball game against Texas he had to tell Peterson, look, go tell him to throw his curveball. Now you would think a great pitcher, a Cy Young Award winner, would not have to be told to use his other pitches, but yet these guys are young. Yes, they are great pitchers, but they've only got a couple years in the big leagues.
He was saying that Zito, who's now thrown 3 consecutive changeups to Kelty in this at-bat, was really economizing his pitches, and guys were grounding out on the first or second pitch, and sometimes that curveball is the put-away pitch for Zito. But if he didn't get to a 2-strike count, he just didn't throw the curveball very much.
But the thing about the big leagues, anybody that tells you that they're still not teaching and lessons learned at this level, they don't know what they're talking about. If you quit teaching once you get to this level, you're probably going to get fired.
3-1. Zito a pitch away from loading the bases, trying to protect his 1-run lead here in the 6th. Line to short, and that's the inning. The Twins get a walk and a double and a steal, but can't cash in. Don't know if Gary's aware of it way up there in center field, but he can see the rock. Back to Oakland, where the A's continue to lead the Twins by a score of 3-2, trying to make it 2 in a row over the visiting Twins here in this series. They'll finish it off with a day game again tomorrow. Joe Mays for the Twins and John Halama for the A's. Some people enjoying the sun, some people trying to stay out of it here on a cloudless afternoon in the Bay Area. Ramon Hernandez will lead it off against Kenny Rogers. Hernandez is 0 for 2 today. Last year hit only .233. This year you can see he's over .300, although he has struggled a little bit lately. But the A's believe he's finally showing the form he showed in his minor league career as he lifts one into right field for an out. Hernandez with a couple of minor league batting titles and a couple of winter league batting titles, and now becoming more of a force at the major league level.
If he continues to hit the ball to right field like that, that's what's going to make him a better hitter. It allows him to stay on both pitches, both the fastball and the breaking ball, away from him. A lot of times last year he's trying to hit that 5-run homer. It's just not possible.
Now Mark Ellis. It was Ellis that was robbed by Torrey Hunter back in the 2nd inning, and it was Ellis who singled and scored in the 4th. David Eckstein's teammate and roommate in college, and plays with some of that same heart and desire that everybody became so familiar with from Eckstein through the playoff run last year. Kenny Rogers has quite a streak going here in this ballpark. Of course, he was a member of the A's for about 1.5 years, and that's why one of the reasons he's been able to put up these kinds of numbers. But he has 17 consecutive wins in this ballpark, not in 17 starts. It goes over 33 appearances, 32 starts. But in his last 33 appearances in this ballpark, he's 17-0. He has not lost in this ballpark since August 7th, 1994. That's way back before the strike. But he's down a run in the 6th inning here today.
It's pretty impressive to win that many ball games, especially in this ballpark. This team has had some pretty good clubs. I mean, when you match up, I mean, you're going to get 3 aces sometime out of the 5-day rotation.
And of course, many of them were as a member of the A's, but many of them, as you say, were as a visitor, coming in here with the Rangers. Ellis draws the walk. Now we saw the Oakland bullpen last half inning. Now the Minnesota bullpen is up. Juan Rincon, no relation to Ricardo Rincon, is throwing, and this Twins bullpen is absolutely dynamite. Some of the best arms you'll see in a bullpen anywhere in baseball. Terrence Long, the batter, and he takes a high strike, 0-1.
You're right about this Minnesota bullpen, and both sides of these clubs. I mean, their bullpens have just been outstanding, and when you know you can count on the last 2 innings getting some guys out, you can shorten the ball game as a manager.
Strike 2. The Twins bullpen as a group has an ERA of 2.66. Only the Dodgers and Angels are better in all of baseball than the Minnesota Twins. So if you're Kenny Rogers and you're trying to find a team to sign with, you find a team with a great bullpen, great defense. They made it to the playoffs last year. Pretty good situation.
I think the biggest thing for Kenny Rogers is having an opportunity to play in the playoffs. If you can't stay at home where your kids are at in Texas, find a place you can go where you get a chance to go to the playoffs. Seems as though he's found him one.
Ellis at first, 1 down, and the 0-2 pitch is outside. I don't know that these Twins have an ace. I mean, Brad Radke's been their guy for several years, but whether he matches up with the other number ones. But there's a lot of experience in Kenny Rogers and Rick Reed. Joe Mays has been an all-star. But some of the best arms they have are some of the lesser-known pitchers. Kyle Loesch, who is in the rotation. Johan Santana, who's kind of an emergency starter, but generally pitches in the bullpen. Right now, you can see far and away, Loesch is the guy with the best ERA.
And last year, I think it was a great confidence builder for him, not only pitching as well as he did, but having an opportunity to pitch in the playoffs. This guy probably has as good a stuff as anybody on either one of these staffs, but yet he's still young in age, but he grasped the art of pitching, adding and subtracting on his fastball and moving the ball around. He's got great, not only physical control of the baseball, but physical control of his body. His mechanics are sound, really comes to the plate aggressively.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The count on Terrence Long. Kenny Rogers going to take a little bit of a walk out behind the mound. He was looking for that inside corner on the last pitch, and he didn't get it.
Well, every once in a while with 2 strikes, you'll see Kenny Rogers drop down trying to get that ball to run in on these left-handed hitters.
A 3-2 Oakland lead here in the 6th inning.
Oakland amazes me that they take as many pitches as they do. It seems to me that opposing pitchers, if you're facing the A's, throw those first couple pitches in there because they're probably taken anyway.
Yep. Rogers has really slowed down his pace here this inning. Generally, he's a quick worker. A look at Ellis at first base. And a swing and a miss, and an awkward looking one at that by Long to strike out for the 2nd out of the inning.
Rogers was pitching him in. He goes away with this fastball right here. Very difficult for Terrence Long to even make contact on this ball because he's looking for the ball in. That's why you see such an awkward swing right there.
And a slow, dejected walk back to the 3rd base dugout for Terrence Long. Adam Pyatt will come up now for the A's. As you get a look at the view for some of the fans out in left field here at the Coliseum. Pyatt hit into that double play back in the 4th inning. It really shut down what could have been a much bigger inning for the A's.
Like we said earlier, it's very difficult, even on the days where you get an opportunity to play a day game after a night game, getting your rhythm and getting yourself in sync at the plate. Still think the toughest thing to do is coming off the bench to hit.
You look at pinch hitting averages, and if you can hit about 260, 270 as a pinch hitter, you're doing a great job. Ellis at first, 2 down. Pyatt the batter, 0 for 2 today.
If I'm a pinch hitter, I want to play in Colorado. That way, if I do connect, I can hit it over the fence.
That's right.
Not that I ever have. But
I know one of your favorites, Lenny Harris, has done a good job pinch hitting as anybody.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's got more pinch hits than anybody ever in the game. And he's not taken. I can tell you that right now. He's coming to the plate hacking.
Ground ball, just foul.
Pyatt's had 2 balls that he's hit down that 3rd baseline. Hasn't gotten anything for him yet. Very close. I think Pyatt thinks it's a fair ball. Pyatt's thinking double. It's what happens when you're 0 for a while. Just doesn't quite go your way. Just a bit foul.
Left-hander J.C. Romero, you can see in the background there are 2 Twins up now in the bullpen. Romero has joined Rincon behind Rogers. The 2-2 pitch. Will have to wait first to throw to first, and Ellis back in standing up. One thing the A's do not do very much is steal bases. They've only got 7 on the season.
Well, they're playing for the big inning, taking pitches, trying to work the count, trying to elevate the pitcher's pitch count. Looking for those couple of walks and the big bang.
They've got the 1 walk here this inning. We'll see what Pyatt can do. Leadoff man Eric Burns, who's been on base 3 times, is waiting on deck. Yanked well foul. Well, Rogers isn't fooling him right now.
Just a long strike. The thing about Kenny Rogers is he'll give you that pitch on the inside part of the plate, take a little bit off of it, let you really spin, hit a long fly ball like that foul. Then he comes back with that changeup right on the outside part of the plate. Just can't lay off it.
So if you're Pyatt, does he know what you know? Do you start looking for something off speed outside?
Well, it's difficult to look for an off speed pitch. You got to look for the pitcher's hardest pitch when you have 2 strikes. But you look away right here. Don't look for the ball inside. Look for the ball away. That way you can hit 2 pitches and fight off the ball that's in.
Coming in. So try to cross him up. The A's hanging on to a 1-run lead. They've out-hit the Twins 9-4, but all 9 hits for Oakland today have been singles. They've left 5 men on through the first 5 innings. Pyatt making Kenny Rogers work for it here in inning number 6.
Sooner or later, Kenny's going to try to make his pitch on that ball that's away from him to get Adam Pyatt to fish for it. The way you set that up is you get the guy thinking in, then you throw him that little fish away.
But a lot of the plate on that one, and Pyatt drives it to deep left, but Jones is there to run it down as Pyatt slams his batting helmet down in disgust. Still 3-2 Oakland. Welcome back to Oakland. Everybody competing for the right to be Barry Zito's #1 fan. He's sure got a lot of them here in this town. And making more by the start. Looking for win number 7 on the season. That would tie him for the American League lead if he and the A's can finish off the Twins again here this afternoon. Dustin Mohr, the batter, leading off the inning for the Twins, and he loops one into left field, a leadoff base hit, and now he's going for second as Pyatt drops the ball, and he's in there in a slide. So give Mohr a single, charge an error to Pyatt, but more importantly, and I know you're going to say this, Mohr made that on the way from home to first. These Twins run out every single ball, and they play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
The way that you take advantage of these types of opportunities, if he's just jogging thinking, well, I got a single here, he's not going to make it to second. But you can see him as he breaks out of the box, he's running full speed, and when the ball is dropped, he can take advantage of it. If he's not coming out of the box full speed, he doesn't make it to second base there.
Leadoff man at second. Tying run as Clinch shows bunt, pulls the bat back, and he takes it low, ball 1.
And all Tom Prince is trying to do here is hit the ball to the right side or bunt the ball to the right side. A lot of managers will give you your choice. I don't care how you get it done, just get the guy to third base.
Remember last inning the Twins had runners at first and third with only 1 out and could not get the run home. Prince 0 for 2 today. And it's ball 2. Now Newman, the third base coach for the Twins. Tom Prince a quick look down to him, but he's already back in there. He knows what his assignment is.
Normally you would say it's easier to bunt a breaking ball, but when Barry Zito comes with that yellow hammer, very difficult.
Does not show bunt, checks the swing, and he takes a strike. 2-1. single and an error to begin this inning, and Dustin Mohr is out at second base. The 2-1 from Zito. Bunt back on. Chavez has no choice but to play it on to first. Sacrifice for Prince. Mohr to third.
That's a great job by Tom Prince right there. What you're trying to do is get the third baseman to vacate third base, field the ball, make him field the ball. That way there's nobody at third base and there can't be a play at third. Easy run for Dustin Mohr making third base.
Now Denny Hawkins is going to try to bring that tying run in. He's 0 for 2 on fly balls today. Fly ball would be good enough to tie it here. Hawkins has not played very much at all this season. He has only 6 hits on the season. And he is 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. And Zito seems to do his best work in these kinds of situations. The opponents are just 5 for 40 against Zito with runners in scoring position this year. The infield is in for the Oakland A's. And the curveball misses up and away, ball 1.
This is where your great players and pitchers step up. You got a situation here with a runner at third base. This is the time and point in the ballgame where you need a strikeout.
And there's a good curveball, 1-1. Zito has only 1 strikeout today. And that was of Torrey Hunter back in the second inning.
And in this situation, you may be thinking squeeze or somewhere along the line, but when you've got Zito on the mound with that type of breaking ball, it's very difficult to put on a squeeze play to try to tie this ball game because his stuff is so good.
High fastball, 2-1. Pacing for Ron Gardenhire, the second-year manager of the Minnesota Twins. They've won 15 of their last 20. Change-up, pulled down to third and foul. So Hawkins already seen the curveball, the fastball, and the change-up in this at-bat.
A lot of times in this situation, you'll see the third base coach walk over to the runner at third base, and he's either whispering in his ear, squeeze, or he's whispering in his ear, nothing.
The 2-2. Just outside.
Oh, he wanted that pitch right there. You work so hard to get to that 2-strike mark. Put it off just a little bit off the corner, thinking you're going to get the call. Even Hernandez tried to pull that thing back.
Curveball and a grounder to second. Ellis has it, looks the runner back, and they'll get Hawkins at first for the second out.
Denny Hawkins did just about everything that you can do in that AB. Didn't fish for a pitch off the plate, kept his weight back, tried to hit that breaking ball the other way. But when you've got such exceptional stuff as Barry Zito does, it doesn't matter. Even if you execute your game plan, sometimes it's still difficult getting the job done.
Now can Zito get Jock Jones to get out of it? Jones is 0 for 3 today, but hitting .338 on the season. Going to maybe try to drag a bunt with them. Not a bad idea with Hatterberg playing so deep at first base, but the pitch was up and in. I like their style, you know.
The Twins are a scrappy bunch. That's why they were in the playoffs last year. They believe in themselves. But the thing about this ball club is they do the little things well. That's why you saw Dustin Mohr taking second base. They play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Great stop by Ellis. On to first to get Jones. The second inning in a row, the Twins get a runner to third base, and the second inning in a row, Zito and the A's get out of it. Great defense by Ellis. 7th inning stretch in Oakland. 3-2 A's. Bottom of the 7th here in Oakland, where the A's lead the Twins 3-2 after a couple of close calls the last couple of innings. Here's the Sheridan pitching summary. For the starters, Kenny Rogers and Barry Zito. Zito has pitched well, not overpowering, just the 1 strikeout as he looks for his 7th win of the season. Kenny Rogers gave up 9 hits, all of them singles, all in the first 4 innings. And the A's could easily have more offense than they have right now. A wild pitch by Kenny Rogers. Maybe the big difference in the game right now. And Rogers is gone. As right-hander LaTroy Hawkins comes into the game for the Twins. And look at these numbers. Look at the hits, 2 innings. Look at the walks to strikeouts. Second year that he's worked as a setup man. in the Minnesota bullpen with extraordinary success after many, many years, Jeff, of really unfulfilled expectations as both a starter and a closer. Now he seems to have found a home, for whatever reason, in the middle of that bullpen.
Hawkins has always had a tremendous arm, but the problem that he had in the 9th inning when they were trying to make him a closer was the fact that he tried to elevate his game too much. He already threw the ball in the upper 90s. He'd get in the ball game in the 9th inning. His velocity didn't change, but his location changed. As a setup man, all he's thinking about is locating his fastball and keeping the ball down and throwing strikes and making guys swing the bat. Well, when you're throwing upper 90s and you can locate your fastball, you got a pretty good chance of getting them out.
He's also talked about his pitching coach now with the Twins, Rick Anderson, who's done a nice job working with him on his mechanics and really ironing out some things. Eric Burns will lead it off for the A's, 2 for 2 and a walk. After Burns, it'll be Scott Hatteberg and Miguel Tejada here in the bottom of the 7th. So Kenny Rogers leaves trailing. And if the Twins cannot tie this game up at any point, then Rogers will suffer his first defeat here in this stadium in 33 appearances going back to 1994. He is 17-0 in this ballpark since the 1994 season. Burns with a fly ball into right field. Mohr is there, 1 down. Let's find out where Gary Miller is now. Gary?
Dan, I'm out here with the Eric Burns write-in campaign. And here's Tina is the leader of it. Now, I'm not a big tattoo fan. This one's okay. I've seen that before. Stomper, have you ever seen anything like this? Now, that's an A's fan. Sitting next to, what is Przynski doing out here in the middle of A's season ticket holders?
I have to support. I'm from Minnesota, but I'm an A's fan.
Okay. So you got the mixed colors. A little of everything out here in left field.
Boy, it seems that way. Here's Scott Hatteberg. You got to be pretty brave to wear that Przynski jersey out there. That's one thing. But he is not the most popular guy out here. Hatteberg 1 for 3, singled and scored in the 1st inning. Now Koski just into foul territory, and he'll make the catch, 2 down.
That's the difference in LaTroy Hawkins, is that pitch right there. A changeup, 83 miles an hour, takes something off of it. Every hitter that comes to the plate that faces LaTroy Hawkins is looking for the heat, looking for the high, hard one. You see that changeup, it looks like a fastball because the ball slows down, so you get to see it longer. You get out in front and you pop it up every time.
And that's where Gary was. He's not. Stomper's still there. Gary's gone. Here's Tejada. Boy, if Tejada is not in an Oakland uniform next season, and it sure doesn't seem like he's going to be, are they going to miss him here? Free agent at the end of the year, the MVP in the American League last season. No real contract talks going on, at least publicly. At the beginning of the year, publicly, the A's said they weren't even going to offer him a contract because they didn't want to insult him. They just don't think they can afford him. And they started talking back and forth through the press about the length of the contract, and maybe if Tejada would stay for 3 or 4 years instead of seeking a 6 or 7 year deal, then maybe something can be done. But you know, the A's cannot afford to tie up so much money in just one player, because before you know it, Mulder and Hudson and Zito are going to be looking at free agency also.
But with Tejada's numbers the way that they stand right now, if this continues to be a season-long trend, it may put the A's right back in the bidding process.
That's true. Breaking ball, and he just got a piece.
I mean, let's face it, how much leverage do you have hitting 211? I don't care how good you were last year.
And what we don't know, that this past year was relatively speaking, was kind of a down year for free agents, the length of the contracts, the amount of money being offered. What we don't know is if it's going to bounce back, or if this is the way it's going to be, where really only a handful of teams every winter have money to spend.
Depends on if you're Jim Thome or David Bell.
That's right. I was going to say, if it wasn't for the Phillies this past year, nothing would have happened. But 2 years ago, whoever would have guessed the Philadelphia Phillies would have been the team throwing the money around?
Nobody.
And when it all comes down to it, that guy and Zito and Hudson, I mean, that's the core of this team. As great as Tejada is and as great as Chavez is, it's that starting pitching that really defines this team.
I think that you can find great position players and put them out there. Now, you're not going to find the the special guys. You're not going to find an Alex Rodriguez in a nutshell, but you can develop your hitters, get guys to catch the baseball. How many times do we see today the teams that have great pitching, they're the ones that are in it at the end?
Well, they lost McGuire. They developed Giambi, and look what he turned into. And then they lost Giambi, and they went from 102 wins to 103 wins. Not that they didn't miss him, but they were able to plug the gap and improve in other areas. Big breaking ball and a swing and a miss by Tejada to end the inning. Nice job by Hawkins. 3-2 A's through 7.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by AIG. For insurance, loans, retirement. AIG, we know money. And Subway, fresh-made sandwiches on fresh-baked bread. Subway, eat fresh.
Barry Zito's done for the afternoon. Has a chance to pick up his 7th win of the season if the bullpen can secure the final 6 outs. The first man out of the pen for the A's today, left-hander Ricardo Rincon, making his 17th appearance of the season. Walks are high, but hits 2 innings very good. Christian Guzman will lead off the 8th inning. It'll get a fastball on the outside corner for a called strike. It'll be Guzman, then Corey Koski, a left-handed batter. And then after that come a couple of right-handed batters, and LeCroy and Hunter. So we'll see how long Rincon is out here, because Ken Maka already has Chad Bradford working as Guzman slams a base hit into left field. Here to begin the 8th inning. The NHL playoffs presented by Nextel are on ESPN tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Martin Brodeur and the New Jersey Devils try to wrap up the Eastern Conference Final. They lead the series 3-2. They'll try to put away the Senators tonight, right here on ESPN. This is also available on ESPN HD TV. Well, here come the Twins again. They've had a great chance in the 6th inning and again in the 7th inning. Couldn't get the tying run across. Here's Koski, who doubled and stole 3rd in the 6th inning, but was stranded there.
I don't know that Zito had his greatest stuff today, but he sure did make the pitches when he had to, and that's how you win ball games. That's how you become a Cy Young winner. You're not going to get your best stuff every single day that you go out there. As a matter of fact, you may only have it 5 to 10 times a year out of the 35 starts that you make. But what you have to do is, when you have bad days or you don't have the great feel, you still got to pitch.
0-2 as Koski could not check the swing. An injury-plagued year last year for Corey Koski. Right now playing a little bit more like he did 2 years ago when he was healthy. Let's go to Gary Miller.
Well, Dan, just like yourself, you know Corey Koski's a native Canadian, and he's a big Minnesota Wild fan. And Dwayne Rollinson is his best friend on the Minnesota Wild. He used to call him before games, and he was fortunate enough to pick the road games. He won 8 in a row on days when he called Dwayne. 8 straight, but then the Ducks came along.
Good luck charm for a while. Well, Koski, growing up, like many Canadians, didn't play a whole lot of baseball. It was actually his 3rd best sport. His 2nd best sport was hockey. His best sport was volleyball. But as you know, Jeff, there's not that much money in volleyball. No, I'm not. No, Corey didn't say that. I'm putting words in his mouth. But he was a terrific multi-sport athlete.
Volleyball.
Volleyball. Come on. Who would have thunk, huh?
You got to be tall to play that, don't you?
He's tall.
Counts me out.
I think you picked the right sport.
I didn't play much basketball either.
No, I didn't think so. Pretty good lead over there by Guzman.
He could dribble good.
Grounded down to first, and Hatterberg makes the wise play, taking the sure out. He got a tough hop there and had to go to his knees, and that pretty much ruled out making a play at second base.
Makes a nice play there, just knocking that ball down. But in that instance, you've got to get an out. And this part of the ball game for Maka is as much about individual matchups, pitcher versus hitter, as it is anything, especially in a one-run ball game this late. You've got to get the right matchups, and I think that's why he's going to Bradford now, try to get a ground ball out of LeCroy.
Side-arming right-hander Chad Bradford will come into the game. The A's clinging to a 1-run lead here in the 8th. And we're back here in Oakland where the A's lead the Twins 3-2. Top of the 8th inning. Cristiano Guzman out at second, 1 out. And Chad Bradford is in to face Matthew LeCroy. And you can see what Bradford brings to the party. Sidearming right-hander, and sidearm might be a little bit generous. 2-2 with a 2.91 ERA in 19 appearances. And like many guys who submarine, he used to throw overhand and wasn't getting enough people out. Somebody said, you know what, lose a few miles of velocity, go sidearm, but add some deception, add some movement, and he counts the moment he became a sidearmer as the most significant moment in his professional baseball career.
When he throws the baseball, from where he throws it, especially in this white uniform with the white shoes, you lose track of where the baseball comes from because it comes out of his pants. And you can see that right leg, it'll fly up after he throws to the right. The ball stays in his pants the whole time that he's throwing the ball. It's very difficult to pick up, not even counting the movement that he gets when the ball comes to the plate. He's almost a virtual submariner because of the way that he throws the ball. The ball doesn't tail back into the right-handed hitters. It drops straight down. It's very difficult to recognize.
Just low for ball 2. Ron Gardenhire had some left-handed bats that he could have brought into this game, most notably Todd Sears, who can play first base, which is where Matthew LeCroy is playing today, but he decided to leave LeCroy in there. LeCroy has singled, walked, and flied out. 1 for 2 on the day. And he left him in with good reason. A base hit into right center field, and this is going to tie the game. RBI single for LeCroy, and it's 3-3.
So if you were the manager, you would have hit Sears, huh?
I didn't say that. I'm just laying the facts out there. Usually with a submariner, you see him go for the left-handed bat. Bradford coming into this appearance, lefties were hitting 286 off him. Righties were hitting 140, 7 for 50. So LeCroy just did something that not a lot of people can do, and now Luis Rivas comes in as a pinch runner. So obviously, for whatever reason, Ron Gardenhire was just very determined to keep Matthew LeCroy in there, liking the matchup, and he was right.
It's a good pitch from Bradford down in the zone. Ball ran back over the inside part of the plate. But the thing that LeCroy does there is he keeps his hands inside the ball and he doesn't try to do too much with it. Stays inside the ball and lifts it right over the second baseman's head.
Torrey Hunter, the batter. He has homered in today's game. He's also made another miraculous Torrey Hunter type of catch, one that only he would make, diving on the warning track out in right center field. Rivas, the pinch runner at first, still just 1 out in the inning. He goes to first base sidearm, although not quite from as low an angle as he does to the plate.
Torrey Hunter likes that ball down. The last thing that Bradford wants to do here is leave a fastball out over the plate for Hunter to get extended on.
With the Twins tying up this game, that Kenny Rogers streak is intact. He's not going to lose today. And he is still 17-0 now in his last 34 appearances in this ballpark, going back almost 9 years.
And this becomes essentially almost a battle of the bullpens now that Zito and Rogers are out of the game.
Minnesota bullpen, one of the very best. Oakland's is good, but Minnesota's probably even a little bit better. Eddie Guardado, the closer. We've seen Hawkins, who was overpowering in his inning.
And both Romero and Hawkins just provide a tremendous setup core for Eddie Guardado. That doesn't even count Santana, who's probably got as good arm as there is in that bullpen.
Everyday Eddie went from a left-handed setup guy to the closer and made the All-Star team last year. Grounded weakly down toward third, charged by Chavez, and he'll get Hunter at first for the second out as Rivas moves to second.
And this is really what Bradford wants to do. Keep the ball down in the zone, get the ball in enough to where the hitters hit on top of it. You get a weak ground ball to third base. Chavez does a good job getting to this ball and making that play.
So now with 2 outs, Bradford's going to face Bobby Kelty. The switch hitter will bat left-handed for the first time today. And at least this season, this has been his weaker side. And they're going to put him on. So they'll go at Dustin Mohr, right-handed batter who's waiting in the on-deck circle.
Well, you kind of have to pick your poison with Kelty at the plate. Left-handed or right-handed, this guy can swing it.
A reminder, you would normally expect SportsCenter to be starting now. It'll come on at 6:30 Eastern time today. Half an hour from now, Scott Van Pelt and Matt Weiner, assuming this ball game is completed here on ESPN. The Twins have just tied it up with a run here in the 8th inning. Matthew LeCroy driving into Cristiano Guzman with a tying run. A 4-1 win for the A's last night, and a 3-3 tie here today as Kanemacha and Rick Peterson consider their options. They've got a left-hander up in their bullpen, Micah Bowie. But they're going to hope that Bradford can finish it off right here against a pretty good right-handed batter in Dustin Mohr, who is 2 for 3 today.
And I don't think that we'll see Micah Bowie unless the Twins take the lead. I think at this point, Bradford's in the ball game until they can get out of this thing.
First and second, 2 down. And the pitch down and in, ball 1. Barry Zito went 7 innings, gave up a couple of runs on 5 hits, and was in line for win number 7. But that is not going to happen here today. Kenny Rogers for the visiting Twins went 6 innings and gave up 3 runs on 9 hits. Into right field, a base hit. Rivas hits third. Here's the throw from Long, not in time, and the Twins have taken the lead with a couple of runs here in the 8th inning. First, LeCroy tied it with a base hit, and now Dustin Mohr with the go-ahead RBI single. It's 4-3 Twins.
LeCroy did it this way, and so does Dustin Mohr. Stay inside the ball and drive the ball the other way. That's the best way to hit a guy that throws from the submarine side, is because if you don't try to hit the ball that way, you're going to do what Torrey Hunter did and swing over the top of the ball. Both of these guys, LeCroy and Dustin Mohr, get inside the baseball, hit it the other way, and that's how you get the fat part of the bat to the ball.
The Twins just refusing to go away here today after having great chances in the 6th and the 7th and failing to cash in a run. They come up with a couple of runs here in the 8th. First and third, 2 down, and the batter is Tom Prince. Almost got him. We are here at the Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland, California, the ESPN Day Game with Jeff Brantley and Gary Miller. I'm Dan Schulman. An American League matchup between the Oakland A's, the second-place team in the West, 2 games back of Seattle, and the Minnesota Twins, the current leaders in the American League Central, a half game up on Kansas City. Barry Zito, Kenny Rogers, the matchup of starting pitchers here today. And the Minnesota Twins have just scored twice here in the top of the 8th inning to take their first lead of the game.
Bradford counts on guys trying to take big swings off of him, topping the baseball as he sinks it to the plate. Both LeCroy, Dustin Mohr, not trying to do too much with the baseball, end up both getting hits.
2-1 on Prince.
But this is what we expect out of the Minnesota Twins. This is why they play the game the way that they play it, because they do the little things well. I mean, there's a lot of times where you get guys up there trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and that's why Chad Bradford does so well, is guys trying to overswing off on him.
Well, and this goes back to when Tom Kelly was the manager, and he was very tough on some of the younger players. But he and the organization really drilled in fundamentals, and he would drag some players out there after games sometimes to go over things if they did it wrong, or they'd have guys out hours before the game working on whatever drills they felt needed attention.
And I think that's why this club plays so well. Not only do they play together and play the game hard, but they just don't make critical mistakes in crunch time. They just seem to come through when the games are on the line, and they win these close ball games.
And that outstanding bullpen doesn't hurt. And we'll see what Ron Gardenhire has in store for the A's next inning and perhaps beyond. LaTroy Hawkins is the pitcher of record right now for the Twins, having worked the last inning. Kelty at third, Mohr at first, 2 down. And Prince hanging tough with Bradford. Crowd getting restless with Chad Bradford here this inning. Ricardo Rincon started the inning, gave up a base hit, then got it out, and then was lifted for Bradford, who has faced 4 batters. He's given up 2 hits and intentionally walked another. Runner goes from first, and a swing and a miss will end the inning. But the Minnesota Twins get a couple and take their first lead of the afternoon. Eric Chavez due up first for the A's in the bottom of the 8th. Where the Twins now have the lead, leading 4-3 on Oakland going to the bottom of the 8th. Defensive changes for the Minnesota Twins. Denny Hocking will move from second base to first base. And Luis Rivas, who came on as a pinch runner for the first baseman Matthew LeCroy, will stay in the game at second base. Out of the Minnesota bullpen comes tough left-hander J.C. Romero, his 20th appearance of the season. The Minnesota Twins have not lost a game this year when they have led this late in the game. And again, neither have the Oakland A's, and that is in jeopardy for them right now. An inning for Hawkins in the 7th, now Romero in the 8th, and then ideally, if you're a Twins fan, Guardado in the 9th. Eric Chavez leads off the inning for the A's. Long run for Koski back toward the bullpen, and he can't get there. It's a ball and a strike as we go back to Gary Miller. Gary?
Dan, I talked to Eric Chavez before the game. He finally broke through against the lefty Kenny Rogers today, but his struggles have been both sides, he said. And one of the problems is, in order to work on his left-handed batting, the only guy on the team that can throw to him is Terry Francona, and he says he's not a very good BP pitcher.
Well, there's some teams, and I was asking somebody else, another hitter, about this a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember who, that they have somebody, a college kid or somebody that throws BP to them at home, but they don't travel him on the road. There's a ground ball down to first. Hocking. And he underhands to Romero for the first out. It's something you don't really think about, but you do need a little bit of practice.
That's the one thing that ball clubs miss probably more than anything else. There's a lot of guys out there that can throw right-handed batting practice, but there's just not that many left-handers out there because the guys that can throw strikes are usually playing somewhere.
Is it worth it to hire a college kid or somebody in the area who can throw decent BP from the left side?
You can ask any hitter, and they're going to tell you it's worth whatever you. A good batting practice pitcher is worth whatever you can pay him to get out there. But in this day and age, financial terms for a lot of these ball clubs, that's the last thing on their mind. Hit off the machine. It's good enough.
Tom Prince in what I would imagine was just buying a little bit of time for Romero after he ran over to first base, allows him to catch his breath. And now we'll face Rubio Durazo. Durazo today 1 for 3, had an RBI single in the first inning. Minnesota 4, Oakland 3, bottom of the 8th inning.
Romero is aggressive in the strike zone. He's got quality stuff, but he throws a lot of strikes. He really comes after you. And when you're pitching at the end of the ball game, your ability to throw strikes and not walk people and give freebies on base is critical.
Broken bat, grounder out to Rivas at second. Flip it on to first for out number 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. The new MLB Authentic Collection Performance Batting Practice jerseys and caps are here. Now anyone can get them. Just visit MLB.com. Glad you're along with us for ESPN Day Game here from Oakland. Twins 4, A's 3, 2 outs, nobody on in the bottom of the 8th. And Ramon Hernandez takes it low from J.C. Romero, ball 1. The A's had 3 hits in the first, 3 hits in the third, 3 hits in the fourth, and got 1 run in each of those innings. They haven't had a hit since.
We were talking about Hernandez earlier. For him to be successful, he's got to be able to hit the ball the other way. Well, as you learn to hit the ball the other way, and as you achieve success, the opposition is going to see you trying to hit the ball the other way, and they're going to pitch you in.
And now tries to jerk one down the left field line, and he pulls it into the seats.
Where do you think that ball's going? On the mantle when he gets home? I think he'll sell it on eBay.
I'm not sure you're getting, no disrespect to Ramon Hernandez. I think the mantle is the place for that ball. A little bit high, 3-1. That's not a Barry Bonds homer into McCovey Cove.
He might tell a story and say, this is Barry Zito gave me this before the game.
Yeah, but we just showed him on TV. It's going to be a long throw for Koski, and it's dug out at first by Hawkins. What a great play by the utility man who just moved over to first this half inning. Night of baseball tonight on ESPN2 Wednesday Night Baseball. Chris Berman, Joe Morgan will be joined by living legend Curt Gowdy for the telecast of the Yankees and the Red Sox, and Roger Clemens is on the mound for the Yankees looking for a career win number 299 right there in Fenway Park. Late game at 10 Eastern, the Giants and the Diamondbacks. Others will see the Braves and Reds or the Rockies and the Dodgers. It all comes your way tonight on ESPN2. Here on ESPN, back here in Oakland, 9th inning, Twins 4, A's 3. Denny Hawkins, who made a great play at first base to end the bottom of the 8th, leads it off against Chad Bradford.
Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Make a great play, lead off the inning.
Yeah, but it only works that way about, I would guess, about 1 out of every 9 times. But the other 8, we just ignore it. Hawkins 0 for 3 today as he takes a pitch on the outside corner. The A's will be back in Minneapolis next week for a 2-game series, and then they'll play at the Metrodome again in July. This is the only regular season visit for the Twins here to the Bay Area this year. Good movement on that pitch, and it's 1-2.
That's a tough pitch to swing at. Ball starts inside off the plate and runs back over the inside corner. You don't want to commit to it because it looks like it's going to be a ball, and then when you don't swing, you get that right there. In order to hit that ball inside, you've got to look for it, and then he starts the ball out over the plate, runs right to the corner. Can't hit both sides. I don't care how good you are.
So much better start to the 9th inning for Bradford after he struggled upon entering the game in the 8th. Sports Center coming up next here on ESPN with Scott Van Pelt and Matt Weiner. Jock Jones, the batter, 0 for 4. Lines one into center field, a base hit. These Twins may not hit a ton of home runs, but they can sure nickel and dime you. They seem to have guys running the bases almost every inning.
Now, if you're an Oakland A player and you swing at the first pitch, I've got to imagine that you get an earful when you get back to the dugout.
Probably, but you know, the Anaheim Angels made a living last year not taking pitches but swinging at pitches, and they fouled off a ton of pitches, so they'd get you deep into the count that way. But the Angels won the World Series being very aggressive. The A's have had success being very patient.
Yankees don't take. They hit.
Yankees used to take.
They swing.
5 years ago,
Not now.
That group used to take.
Not now. Those guys are hacking. Soriano didn't take anything.
No,
he just hits it over the fence.
Yeah. Here's Guzman, 1 for 4. Singled and scored last inning. That tied it up. Minnesota got 2 in the 8th to take the lead. And they've got their closer, Eddie Guardado, now throwing in the bullpen.
I think there are certain hitters that are good at being able to take and hit deep into the count. I think there are certain hitters that can't do that very well. And if you're gonna play for the Oakland A's, you've got to be prepared to take a lot of pitches, because that's only what you're going to be in this lineup.
But that's the philosophy they preach from the moment they draft you and bring you into the minor league system. Reaching for it, a ground ball to second, to the bag for 1, and that's all. Good decision by Tejada just to hold on to that ball. Guzman has not grounded into a double play all season, and certainly wasn't going to be doubled up on a ball hit that softly.
And Jones did a good job by stopping in the baseline there. Last thing that you want to do as the runner at first base is run into a tag and allow him to make a quick double play. You stop. You can't break up the double play. You stop. Don't allow the second baseman to tag you and make him throw the ball to second base to get you out.
Now, once again, for the third time today, Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, is coming out. And right now, they're going to get Micah Bowie, the left-hander, up again. He was up last inning. Corey Koski, a left-handed batter, is standing in the batter's box right now, patiently waiting for his turn to hit. Don't know if this is just to stall and let him throw a few pitches, and then they're going to make the change. Nope. Bradford will stay. Unless, of course, if Ken Maka pops out in a second here.
Maybe they just wanted to get the kid Bowie some TV time. Get him up. Let him get on TV.
Bradford will face Koski. Koski's 1 for 4 today, doubled back in the 6th inning.
Wonder what that looks like, coming off of a guy's shoe tops right at your face.
Got to be tough, especially as a left-handed batter. You've been dealing with that Zito arsenal all day that starts behind your shoulder, and the curveball winds up down at your knees, and now it's the opposite, as you said. Koski is hit by a pitch.
So you think Peterson went out there and told him to drop?
Well,
no way.
That's the first hit batter that they've had in this game today. We mentioned 2 hit batters, although both appear to be unintentional, and 2 minor bench clearing incidents yesterday that both managers have been trying to downplay.
I think the thing for Bradford there, he's trying to pitch Koski inside. It's very difficult for a sidearm submarine type pitcher to get the ball all the way on the other side of the plate, especially when the ball's running back like it is for him today.
First and second, 2 down, and the batter was Rivas. And he'll get a strike on the inside corner. Well, even though it was obviously unintentional, some hitters, given what happened yesterday, probably would have done some staring at the pitcher or some yapping on the way down to first base, but Koski just went down to first, and that prevents anything from happening today like happened yesterday.
Nobody wants to get hit.
Even at 79 miles an hour, it hurts, right?
Still hurts. Yeah, the ball hurts.
Still
hurts. Hard. You don't want to get hit with a ball, and a lot of times your anger and the things that you say is a direct result of the pain, especially when that thing's coming in there about 95.
The 0-2 to Rivas. Down to the weekly back toward the mound. And that is all for the Twins. We will go to the bottom of the 9th. Eddie Guardado, the Minnesota closer, on his way in to try and protect a 1-run lead. Bottom of the 9th inning here in Oakland, where the A's are down a run to the Twins. And the Minnesota closer, Eddie Guardado, is on the mound. Mark Ellis leads it off for Oakland. Guardado 10 for 10 in save opportunities this year. Had 45 saves and made the All-Star team last year. Only 2 walks in 17 2/3 innings, as he promptly falls behind 2-0. It'll be Mark Ellis, or at least it's scheduled to be Mark Ellis, Terrence Long, and Adam Pyatt, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for the A's here in the 9th inning. Outside, ball 3. The A's have had some success recently off Eddie Guardado, both in the regular season and in the playoffs last year. There's a strike at the knees.
How many walks did you say he had?
2, not counting the one that he might
right here.
do right here.
Last thing that you want to do with a 1-run lead in the 9th is walk the leadoff hitter, I assure you.
Well, 3-2 as he battles back.
See, that's what I don't understand right there is you've got to. I know you're trying to get on base any way that you can, but that pitch was right down the middle. It's 3-1 swing.
Fly ball down the right field line. Mohr racing into foul territory, and he cannot make the catch as a fan reaches out and makes a spectacular grab, but the umpire's calling it out. Boy, oh boy.
Dustin Mohr had his glove up, looked like he was getting ready to make the play, and this guy leans over and snags it.
So Ellis is called out, the fan reaching into the field of play, and the umpire ruling that he interfered with Mohr's ability to catch the ball. You like the call?
I don't think that Dustin Mohr could make that play. You see him look down right at the last second. He's not going to try to catch that ball.
That's the question.
The fan's trying to catch it, but I don't think that Dustin Mohr was trying to catch it. You watch him right here. He's going to look down. That means he's not trying to catch that ball.
And should that be taken into consideration by the umpire?
I think there's no doubt about it. Umpire's discretion is umpire's discretion.
And Eddie Guardado likes the end result.
Of course, if I'm standing on the mound right there, I love the call.
It's a great call.
I don't have to make another pitch to that guy.
It's a nice grab by this guy. But he didn't do his team any favors.
So that goes back to that 3-1 pitch that we were talking about. You get a 3-1 pitch when you've got the pitcher on the ropes. That's the pitch that you want to hit. You're looking for a fastball in the middle of the plate that you can drive out of the ballpark. And in that situation, Ellis takes that pitch and ends up swinging at a pitch that's right on the outside corner, running away from him, and he hits it off the end of the bat.
1-1 now the count on Terrence Long. I think they have sent our friend with the glove down the line to an early shower for interfering with play.
I'm all for working the pitcher and taking pitches and trying to win the ball game, but that 3-1 pitch, you got to swing at that.
Now it's 1-2. LaTroy Hawkins worked the 7th, 3 up and 3 down. J.C. Romero worked the 8th, 3 up and 3 down. And now Guardado has retired the first batter here in the 9th, and he's ahead of Terrence Long, 1-2. A lot of foul territory here, but not enough. More foul territory in this ballpark than in any other ballpark in a baseball. And not even this park could hold that one.
Whole lot of running.
Sometimes the pitcher's best friend.
But I've got to believe in this situation, if you had a Jermaine Dye that was back, or even if he was available off the bench right here, this is a perfect scenario for him to be. That's what we were talking about having an excess of outfielders. You get Dye back, you've got another right-handed bat in this lineup. There's not that many left-handed closers out there, but perfect situation right here.
Guardado, nothing fancy, and he pounds the strike zone, makes you swing the bat. Just outside, 2-2. Fastball tops out at about 90. What's the key to Guardado's success?
The biggest thing is he attacks the strike zone, and he continues to throw pitches over the plate on both sides. He pitches in, he pitches away. He doesn't leave too many pitches that are right down the heart of the plate.
Ground ball out to second. Rivas on to Hawking for out number 2. And the Twins are an out away from what has to be a very satisfying comeback here in this game, scoring 2 runs in the 8th inning to take their first lead of the afternoon as they attempt to even up the series.
Guardado's aggressive. He keeps the ball down. He can throw his breaking ball for a strike, and he can locate his fastball. That's really all you're trying to accomplish as a pitcher anyway, and he does it without letting his motions get in play in the way in the 9th inning.
We'll send you to Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt and Matt Wider as soon as this game is over. And the Twins are an out away from winning it. Adam Pyatt is the batter. Pyatt today is 0 for 3, grounded into a double play in the 4th. Hit the ball very hard to left field in the 6th, but a nice running catch by Jock Jones. Oh, and 2. Don't forget Yankees and Red Sox at 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN2 as Kurt Gowdy joins Chris Berman and Joe Morgan. And then at 10 Eastern, it's Arizona and San Francisco also on ESPN2. Sports Center next right here on ESPN.
Guardado may go with a backdoor breaking ball right here to try to catch him looking.
It's softly into right field. It'll drop in, a base hit. Pyatt has his first hit of the game, and the A's aren't done yet. Now they get the top of the order coming up.
That's a heck of a time to break out of your slump, huh? 2 outs, 0-2 in the bottom of the 9th.
Well, and he's hit the ball harder than that today with nothing to show for it. Now Chris Singleton has come out to run for him.
Guardado throws him a fastball on the outside part of the plate. Pyatt hits it off the end of the bat, but still gets some production for it.
Now Guardado will face Eric Burns. Singleton on as a pinch runner at first base for Pyatt. Burns is 2 for 3 with a walk today. Big swing and a miss, 0-1.
Think he missed the take sign?
I know.
He's missed a few others today.
Yeah, that's true. Missed the stop sign at third base earlier today in one of the pivotal moments of this game.
Maybe when you're hitting 346, you don't have to follow the game plan. Just swing it.
He knows he's going to get some strikes from Guardado. Singleton being held by Hawkins. And the pitch is up and away. 1-1.
Sad part about it is even though he did miss the sign at third base, he was safe.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
He was safe.
Singleton stretching out that lead at first. Twins an out away from winning this game. A swing and a pop-up really into shallow center field. Hunter coming on. And the Twins win it. They get 2 in the 8th and get 3 shutout innings from their bullpen to beat the A's by a score of 4-3 here in Oakland here today. Sports Center is coming up next year on ESPN. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Jeff Brantley and Gary Miller, I'm Dan Schulman. Thanks for watching. Sports Center is next.